We're here. We're on the yacht. We just got done with the Volt conference. We're sitting with Chris Squared, Chris Verini, brand new to Plug PV. Chris, the OG of Plug PV, been here for longer than I have. And so Chris is now running the team down in Florida. Florida obviously has become a tough market in the last couple of years, a lot of saturation. I think the whole state of Florida as a whole, in terms of all solar companies and all sales, is down like 60% in terms of companies going out of business, all that kind of stuff. So how have you been able to be successful in the midst of all of that?
Yeah, so I mean, you know, obviously with COVID and interest rates going up and the hurricane, you know, we got hit with 2 pretty big hurricanes. A lot of companies were not able to bounce back. Maybe people weren't getting paid, insurance companies dealing with these issues. So the first thing we did is realize interest rates are high, it's scaring people off, let's switch to the lease opportunity. What we were able to do with the lease, because we're not really saving people that much money on loans, is we do the 2.9. We're gonna give them value up front, because right now everyone's hurting. Credit utilization is the highest it's ever been. If you can save $100, it's better to put in your pocket than the utilities pocket. So making that quick transition honestly saved our company. If we were still selling 9% loans, probably wouldn't happen. And I think a reason a lot of these companies went out of business is it's a revolving door. They get people in, they put some money in their pocket, they leave, they don't follow through, and they didn't transition quick enough.
Got it.
And I think that just comes from being in the industry and being like, we need to pivot.
What do you think your biggest skill set is as a leader?
I think my biggest skill set is knowing how to sell and teaching that to a person so they can actually go out and have a successful career.
Got it. Knowing how to actually do it. You know how to teach your guys because you've done it a million times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Repetition.
I would argue that in our organization, in the entirety of Plug PV, Chris is probably the best sales rep in the entire company.
Coming from you, that means a lot.
Most number ones can't teach other people because of the ego, because of all the things that it takes to be number one. It's hard to also be able to teach people, you know?
Right.
I'll tell you, listen, I've sat in on some of his meetings. I flew down here, came and shadowed his team, worked with his team for a little bit, see what his operations look like down here.
Yeah.
The level of respect that he gets from his team in a meeting, or when he enters the room, is second to none. The way his guys look up to him, incredible. So the culture he has in his team is something to look up to for sure.
Got it.
Yep.
The fellowship is huge. The
Yeah.
fellowship is huge. Okay, so this is now, we didn't meet, but we went to the SLS.
Yeah.
What do you think of this, the Sales Leadership Summit that he has, compared to the Volt conference that we just went to?
So both, we got way more value than what we paid for. What I took from the SLS is I'm a sales rep, right? My background, I'm a nerdy physics guy, right? Has nothing to do with business. So when I got into sales, the only reason I started selling is because I was sleeping on the couch. I had to make money. Through that repetition and having my back against the wall, it forced me to learn how to sell and learn how to sell quickly. When I started managing, I was just saying, hey, this is how you do it. Go do it. Have a good time. When I went to SLS, my breakthrough moment is you need to start putting on your CEO hat. You are still viewing your position as a salesperson. You need to be a sales leader. What I took from the Vault was those friction points of, how does my sales team view me? Am I leading them the way that they need to be held? And the biggest thing that came from it, we had a 3-4 hour fireside chat last night.
Yep.
They want more accountability. Okay, I'll give you accountability. So they're same way a customer tells you how to sell them, my team is telling me how to motivate them.
And what they need.
So I think being with your team at the Vault is the most valuable thing you could do.
What's the one thing that after this Volt you're going to go back and take and start implementing right away to your team?
So it's a 2-part, but it all leads to the same outcome. The first is going to be data points. I want to know how many doors you knocked, how many appointments you set, how many sat with you, how many closed,
The same as
how many
mine,
canceled.
tracking all the KPIs.
All the KPIs, because then when I go to my meetings or I have my one-on-ones, this is your shortcoming. I know how to overcome this, and if I don't, I'll get you with someone that knows how to overcome this. So instead of just being general, I want to be specific and help you overcome your constraint in your business. So with that, it's kind of 2-part. Get the data, teach on the data, get them to have more pull-through, right? The work, we know as salespeople, if you knock for 30 days and you sell 2 deals and they cancel, you're done. So I want to make sure that they have longevity in this industry and that they can actually get to a place where we're at and doing the things that we do, right?
Got it.
I would say that's the biggest.
Huge. Anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to add?
That's it. Crosby, tell me a little bit about when the crazy moment when PVD was, you guys were sitting together at SLS, PVD calls out Zac, like it was a crazy fucking moment. What was the energy like from a third party perspective in the room?
So I'll start with this. I hit up Zac, what are you wearing? Kid says suits. I'm like, shit, suits? So first thing, I tried my suits on, they're a little tight. I did some cardio for like 30 days, right? The first day when we're about to go, I come down in like shorts and a polo, and you and my brother are like, nah, dude, you need a suit. We were around people in that room. We were the small fish. We went from being the big fish in our office to the small fish. So it was a humbling experience. Then we had people go up and talk. So the guy right before Zac butchered it, and the guy was doing well. Zac stands up and just crushes it. And everyone is like, these two kids, and Zac, 26, 25 at the time.
Yeah.
Zac, what are you doing in your business? 120 million. He knows this shit. That's why he's doing what he's doing. So just watching that moment and being like, dude, Zac came from knocking fucking doors at 19, and he's in a room full of multimillionaires. Like, dude, I got like, it was a proud moment. Like, it was a proud moment. Like, when you see people in your industry having success that are going through the same shit you're going through, I know how difficult it is to stand up in a room and kill it. And you fucking killed it. So, I mean, dude, how many people came up? 10, 20 people were like, dude, that was amazing. At the networking event, they're like, we want to fucking work with you. And I'm like, that's it.
Every time at the vault, without fail, whenever Pat asks questions, about 75% of the people can't answer the fucking question.
They cannot answer the question.
Either come up and just fumble the ball or
Give a story.
a story
Yep.
or
Yep.
a commercial that
Yep.
he always says.
Yep.
It's amazing to me.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, that SLS was the whole reason I started a website, started doing online consulting, all that stuff, because I realized, like, holy shit, I actually know what I'm talking about. And for me, it seems so basic, bro. Like,
Yes.
what do you mean you don't know the script to I'm not interested?
Right.
What do you mean you
Right.
can't say that?
Right.
Like, what are you doing? What do your meetings consist of if you can't handle your objections?
Objections. Which
So-
is the most common objection.
Yeah, it's so basic, and people are coming up to me and like, oh my god, I can't. I'm like, you can't handle your top 3 objections? Like, how are you even here in this room?
Sometimes when you're having success and you're growing, it's like people are like, "Oh, you're jacked," right? I'm like, "No, I'm not. I've been slacking at the gym." But like when you first start and then you end up somewhere, you don't even remember how you got there,
Yeah, that's a good
because
point.
you're just pushing forward, and other people will be like, "How do I get there?" And you're like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
And then you got to go think back, and then you got to reteach them. Right? It's those fundamentals that people lose. And like when Nick Saban, I was hoping he was there.
Pissed.
The Hard Knocks with him, or whatever it was called, he does the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Every great person does the fundamentals.
Yeah, you look at Bill Belichick and Nick Saban, the two hard-ass, cutthroat coaches, and they just make everything they do is so, like, perfect practice. When they do practice, it's at game speed, it's at game development, it's you got to hit that exact inch that I told you to hit. You missed it by an inch, you got to go back, hit right there.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And that's what they do, and you have the two best coaches in the history of sports, in the history of football.
Right.
And that's the same shit for
Same
training
thing.
reps.
Yep. It
Training
is.
reps and growing a sales team. The full circle story. Chris was the OG at Plug PV. Started with Gio, started with Ben Potiker, Roger, all the way back in the day in Newburgh. Now he's running the team down here in Florida. And Chris and I, when I first came on, Chris was doing 10 sales a month at Plug PV, and everyone else was doing like 2. And I'm like, yo, who the fuck is this guy? I gotta go talk to this guy. I gotta learn from him. I'm 19 years old, and I just wanted to learn from people so bad. I wanted to go talk to people. So anyway, make a long story short here, him and his I don't want to put his name in here.
Kid, I was not gonna.
Yeah. So Chris and this guy that they were working with, I ended up selling a deal in Pine Bush area, which is an area in New York that they're from. And the other gentleman that we work with called me and was not very happy with me. Told me I was knocking in his territory and that's a bunch of bullshit and blah, blah, blah. And he was pretty upset with me. And the short story, to make it, to add the context, is Jill Sutherland called him up. It was like, are you really scared of a 19-year-old kid? What is wrong with you?
Knocking in your turf.
Yeah, knocking your turf.
Yeah.
So, and then I started asking those guys for help. And at the time, they didn't really want to work with me. And I'm like, damn. Like, I needed help, and these guys wouldn't work with me. I'm super pissed off. I want to go build my own team. Chris ended up going down to Florida. You guys ended up doing roofs, right? You started doing something else?
Yep, for the hurricane.
Yeah.
Yep, we did roofs for a year before Plug put a team.
Correct. But I'm going back and forth here. I want to go back to...
I want to know both sides.
Yeah.
So tell me, what was your perspective?
Yeah, so, well, this is like a great teaching point for anyone that's young and listening. But like the thing is like I had an ego, right? First install, I'm doing all these numbers. We didn't make as much back then as we did today. I'm fucking 24, right? I'm the man. This kid's coming to my turf, he's brand new. So there was like a territorial protection, right? Like you got to earn that. Looking back, hindsight, that's a $1 million leak in my business. And the reason why is because when you have people that are driven and successful, if me and Zac worked together from the time he was 19, we would be twice or 3 times as big. So the biggest difficult part for me in my growth as a man and a business leader is ego. And I read ego is the enemy. And I listened to Naval and I listened to these guys. You will never get to where you want to go by yourself. And if you do, it'll take you 80 years. So if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, you need a team.
Ooh. And I'll tell you, that was a bar. I'll tell you right now, too, bro, I remember it vividly. One day, I don't remember if it was text, phone, talking in person, but I'm like, yo, can I go out and work with you? And you were like, this is door to door. We don't help each other out. Like, this is not how this industry works. The day I started the sales team, when Jill was like, all right, it's time for you to be a manager, I thought to myself, I need to build this exactly the opposite of what Chris said. I'm like, I need to make it so that we can work with each other and we got a good culture and guys do enjoy this time and all this stuff. And that was, bro, you were a big motivation for my success for the first 2-3 years. Because I'm like, I need to make it done this way because Chris told me it couldn't be done this way. And he wouldn't help me, you know?
You said, I will figure it out.
It's crazy. It served a great purpose. And here we are 3 years later. 4 years later, now we're on a yacht together with both of our fucking teams at the Volt Conference.
Yep.
So it's crazy how life works. It's crazy how life works.
And just knowing, like, we don't speak that often, but I know there's a kid in New York that's doing the same thing that I'm doing. If I have a constraint in my business, I'll pick up the phone and be like, Zac, how'd you solve this problem? If Zac has a constraint in his business, picks up the phone and calls me, right? And it's just knowing that there's someone else out there that's going through the same shit I am.
Yeah, and he came to our conference in 2023, the January of 2023, and gave gave a keynote about sales. And every single one of my sales reps was like, that was phenomenal. So Chris is helping my guys directly at a conference, talking to the guys as well. So it goes both ways, you know?
And what I found, right? So speaking from growth, hindsight 2020, if we worked together, we'd probably be in 15 or 20 states. If my team does bad, but your team does well, I still get to keep my office because Plug has revenue. If you guys have a really bad winter and Florida's crushing it, it doesn't matter because it's company profit. So it's like a lot of people think we're competition. We're not competition. Mm-hmm. We are all going towards the same goal. And if we work towards the same goal, we all fucking eat.
And here, this is the best point. I'm so glad you just said that because this is the point I want to end this video on. 95% of sales teams hate each other and cannot work together because they all stab each other in the back, dog eat dog mentality. And it's crazy too. Not only did you, when me and you first met and that thing, the story that just happened, we talked about, my father was the same way. He was in car sales for 24 years and all he ever talked about was how all the sales reps in the car dealership hated each other. Mm-hmm. So that's so common in the sales industry. And it's magic what happens when you have two guys like us that work together. It's like your business 10x's because you have two great minds, you know?
Exactly.
Like, what's the story about Clydesdale horses? Clydesdale horses, one horse can pull 8,000. Another horse can pull 8,000. When you put them two together, you would think it's 16,000. It's 32,000 pounds they can pull. Because when you work together, that's what kind of stuff can happen.
100%.
So it comes full circle, man. So many people fail at building that real culture and that real sales team and them at working together, and you're missing so much because when it is a team, and it really is, magic, bro.
And just quick 30 seconds, going back to the point where I was talking about what was my aha moment when I felt that friction. If you feel like you need to compete, what is that reason? And then look out, like, why do I have this ego that I feel like there's not enough abundance to share, right? And it's you. And that's something that you have to work through to get to the next level. PBD talks about it. You have to trust people with your business, right? And if we do that, we become massive, and we will become massive. We will be the #1 solar company in the country, bar none.